guys? This is Justin. That's Greg. We are the hosts of our new podcast here. We're starting out. I guess this would be our inaugural season in terms of baseball. This is the Baseball and Whatever podcast. And pretty much the way this came about is, I can't speak for Greg, but I'm a Cubs fan. He's a Sox fan, and I absolutely hate my team right now. They're playing like garbage. And I know Greg's got some thoughts on the White Sox and some Cubs thoughts, which is great. And then the whatever part is just whatever we're kind of feeling that week. I think this week we're going to talk about PS5. We're both really big gamers, and we're going to talk about the Snyder Cut. We're also big comic book fan, or not, I shouldn't say comic book fans, but comic book movie fans. I'm more of a DC guy. I think Greg is you're more Marvel, right? But Batman. Well, I know you like Batman, but
see, Batman's always my number one. But the Marvel movies I love. And that's because Snyder's kind of ruining DC for me. But I'll get into that later.
We'll get into that.
I'll get into that later.
We'll start with baseball. I will put in the show notes if you are not a baseball fan and you're here to hopefully listen to us complain about not being able to find a PS5 or the Snyder Cut. I'll tell you when to jump to that if you want to skip the baseball. Hopefully not. We got plenty of hot takes for that. But starting off, I've been a Cubs fan my whole life. I've lived on the South Side. Greg is a Sox fan his whole life. He's lived on the North Side, which has probably made it difficult for each of us in our respective towns, getting ridiculed as kids for not cheering for the right team. But all right, we'll start it off with the Cubs. This season in general is just a joke. Greg, I know you're an outsider looking in, but the fact that the offense has been broken for 4 years now, every year it's the same old. I think David Ross just said this the other day. We got to wait and see what happens. It's a small sample size, but this is the same thing for 4 years since they won the World Series. The offense is broke. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like Baez. I like Rizzo. I like Bryant, but I don't know if you need to switch things up. I don't know if you need to trade people. Obviously, their contracts are coming due. I guess we can start with that. Like, what do you think of the makeup of the team and the way they're playing so far, Greg?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It has been broken for, since the World Series year, post the World Series year. And it just seems to be getting worse.
Yeah.
Like you said, everyone's in a walk here this year. We heard about Rizzo and the contract he was offered. He's not really playing up to anything right now. Baez is looking awful. Bryant is just kind of meh right now, but just a lot of bad at bats, a lot of weak at bats.
I think Baez had another golden sombrero today. I want to
say,
right?
Yeah,
another
and
4 strikeout
he
game.
He had a strike. I mean, he swung at a pitch way outside.
Yeah,
that was just. I mean, we've seen him do that before, but this is just brutal right now.
I feel like some of his at-bats lately that I've seen, it's almost like he's reverting back to like when he got called up and he was swinging like for the fences on every pitch and like golf swinging. And I don't know how you fix that. I mean,
that golf swing is definitely back. And I don't know if he's just pushing too hard out there.
Yeah.
But whatever it is, it looks pretty brutal.
So that's been rough. Before the season started, I was on the extend Rizzo train. I feel like he should be a Cub for life. Granted, he might not be the best Cub of all time. I mean, I would say he's probably got to be up there for one of the best first basemen the Cubs have ever had. But
even as a Sox fan, I'm like a huge fan of this core. I'm a big, well, you know me, I'm a big Chris Bryant fan, big Rizzo fan, big Baez fan, big Contreras fan. And for me, I'd love to see these guys stay in Chicago.
Yeah.
Stay in Cubs. I think it'd be fantastic, but they're just not. I don't know. It's got to be something in their head right now. They're all talented guys.
It's just so weird to have so many like decent players, and then you put them all together on the team. And like since the World Series, they don't look good together. It's mind-boggling.
Yeah, I don't know, because now before I was totally against, say, oh, we got to break up. We got to break this up. We got to break up the offense. We have to break up the core. Let's start fresh. I mean, this was supposed to be built for sustained success. That's what Theo Epstein said.
Yep,
that's what we've all heard. That's the broken record going on again. But now just watching, I know it's early, but I hate that saying too. Early.
If I hear one more time that baseball is not a sprint, which I get, it's 162 game season,
right.
That's a whole nother thing I'm sure we'll get into someday about if the season's too long. But
just by the way the at-bats are going, the approach at the plate, it's all real bad. Runners left in scoring position, weak contact.
Well,
I mean, they show spurts. I mean, they're all talented guys. They show spurts. I mean, Bryant hit that home run to center the other day. Contreras came up with that what was that game, that 2-run?
Yeah, 2-run homer where he was
homer
telling
right.
the Milwaukee crowd to
right.
shush or quiet down.
That was that. I like that.
Well, I'm okay. I'm glad you brought that up. So, I mean, I think obviously that we're recording this now. The Cubs lost today. It's Wednesday. They lost. Was it 7-0? I was listening to the game on my way home from work, and it's just like, what are you guys doing? But
four hits. Yeah, total.
They're inept right now. I mean, the last couple games, I want to say they got, was it 1 hit a couple games ago, a couple 2-hit games, a couple 3-hit games. I mean, it's just they don't look good. But I'm glad you brought up Contreras. So I'm curious what your take is. The whole unwritten rule thing about, throwing at guys, not throwing at guys. Like, I totally get he's been hit. I think they said he's been hit like 13 times in 30 games or something like that by Brewers pitching, which is a lot. So it makes you wonder, is it that they can't keep track of where they're throwing it, their accuracy's bad, or is it something like that they're targeting him? So I'm curious what your take is, because me, like, he's been he gave some post-game speech on the field yesterday where he's like, oh, we wouldn't throw at pitchers if we wanted to get back at them because they threw behind, was it the Milwaukee pitcher the other game?
Yeah, that's Woodruff. That's Ryan Tepera that threw behind Brandon Woodruff, I think his name is. And that caused the stir, that caused the bench or the dugouts to be warned and everything. So, that.
Yeah. So, I mean, between that and then him doing the whole hitting the home run and shushing the crowd, and it's like, okay, that's great, but then you better come out and play good the next game. And then they look like a complete dumpster fire today, So.
Well, are they hitting them because of a previous bat flip? Is that what it was?
That or could be. I mean, the whole. It's funny. That's probably where it stems, I would imagine. The whole bat flipping thing, like when I was younger, that bothered me. It was like, oh, you need to, the sanctity of the game. Where now I'm just like, you know what?
I'm actually glad you brought that up because my whole time playing baseball in Little League, high school, we were taught to, don't show any emotion.
Put the bat down and run first.
Put the bat down, head down, run around the bases. And now we're seeing that transformation where guys are showing up. We saw it with Castellanos, skipping all the way to first base like he's on the yellow brick
was
road.
It Batista like 5-6 years ago that did that really epic bat flip?
He started that. Obviously, Tim Anderson with his bat chuck or whatever made the Kansas City Royals all upset. So this is something we're seeing more. Guys showing, hitters showing emotion. Pitchers have always shown emotion.
Right.
Pitchers have always shown that. But we're seeing it with the batters now, and especially with Wilson, because he showed it again when he hit that 2-run shot. He really just kind of let it sit out there. He watched it all the way, and then he just tossed that bat to the side. Then, like you said, he shushed the crowd. We're seeing a lot more of that. I think the Brewers, I'm guessing they're taking exception
to it. Yeah.
That's the game is changing towards more showing that emotion at the plate, especially with batters and everything. So
I mean, I don't know. I feel like I go back and forth. Like I said earlier, I was like, no, just like you said, that's how I was taught in Little League and, All-Stars and all that stuff as a little kid. It was like, there's no, I shouldn't say no emotion, but it's like, you don't want to show anybody up. But I feel like nowadays it's like, if I'm a professional and I hit a home run, I'm going to enjoy it. Like, that's hard to do.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So, and then the same thing on the flip side, when a pitcher is in a jam, bases loaded, 2 outs, and he strikes somebody out, a lot of times you see the hitting the chest or, jumping up and down a little bit, getting psyched, which I totally get. Like it's a sport. Right. You pay for that emotion. Even being a pitcher, I was taught not to show any of that. Like even getting like a third strikeouts in the inning, not to do, not to scream or not to, show any emotion like that. Just, walk off to the field and get ready for the next inning. So really, me personally, I'm just happy to see all kinds of emotion out there, and I don't want to see anyone getting hit. I've never liked throwing at people. No, I never understood
get the
that.
Guy out. So.
Never understood that, especially when if you're throwing at them and it's a little high and inside, there's no reason to throw at somebody's head.
No,
I mean,
absolutely not.
I don't know how I feel about like throwing at their leg or, their whatever, but it's like, it's just, you're putting a guy on. Why would you want to put a guy on?
Exactly. Exactly. So if I'm the guy getting hit, sure, I might be mad. It's like, I'm going right to first and I'm trying to score from there. So,
right.
So it's a big NL Central thing this year.
It is.
Everyone's hitting each other.
Well, that division.
The NL Central really hates each other.
They
I was
do.
you talk
And
about you're talking about the new rivalries like the Dodgers and Padres. We just look to the NL Central.
yeah, everybody hates
Everyone
each
just
other. They're all
despises each
pretty
other.
awful. They're all mediocre for the
It's
most
like
part.
we're all bad. One
Yeah.
of us has to win, and we're gonna hate each other during the whole thing.
Well, before we move on to the Sox, who, as a Cubs fan, it pains me to say this, but I'm more optimistic about the White Sox. But before we move on to them, it looks like the Cubs play the Braves in the next series. The Braves are 4-7, so they haven't had that great of a start either. I would say the Braves are a better team than the Cubs in general, just from what I remember from last year. So it'll be curious to see how they do. I'm not holding out hope. It doesn't even look like the Cubs right now. I'm looking at their probables. They don't really have anybody named as their probable because I know Hendricks had to drive back to Chicago because he's not feeling good. He
Right, and
keeps
he's not
failing. He keeps failing the COVID test,
the
but I
COVID
know
test,
he's
right?
failed. I shouldn't say he failed them, but he was negative, I guess would be the right way to say it. But
Right.
the first base coach has it. I want to say one of the bullpen coaches might have
I
COVID.
think yes, two coaches have it, I believe, and then was it the three relievers are
Yes, that they put on
on
the
IL?
taxi squad,
They
right?
tested negative, but
Symptoms.
they have symptoms. I don't even know if it's symptoms, but they're on the IL.
So it'll be curious to see how that goes. Obviously, you don't want anybody to get super sick with that, especially I know not opposite sports, but I know the NHL, the Canucks, they're trying to come back. They've been shut down for like 3 weeks because COVID hit their team. And I think it was one of the variants, and the players were like, we can't even come back and play right now. So
Right.
hopefully it stops right here. Hopefully Hendricks is fine. Wish him all the
Yeah,
best.
and
But
the Cubs were the Cubs having issues like getting their team vaccinated or
yeah,
something?
and again, whatever people believe, that's on them. I'm not going to push what I think or whatever. Because it's funny though. I'm glad you brought that up. I was listening to the score, and Bernstein and Rahimi were talking about that, and I guess David Ross said, we're still having trouble educating the players. And it's like, all right, if you don't want to get it, that's fine. But the whole education thing, call your doctor. I'm going to say 95% of the doctors are going to say get the vaccine. And that's it, right? Like, I don't know what else there is to say about that, but
No, that's 100% right. Well, even when you and I talked before, I was very skeptical about getting the
yeah.
vaccine. I passed up three opportunities, but I'm happy to say I'm getting my second shot
Mm-hmm.
the last week of April.
Okay.
So I've definitely come around to it. I know
Yeah.
a lot of teams, there's that 85% number,
So yeah, they lessen the restrictions on their
85% of the
team.
staff. Right. And so I guess we just hope to see more of that. So a lot of
Yeah.
these restrictions
See
can
what
be
happens.
lifted.
It would definitely be nice to, if not this year, next year, be able to go to a baseball game and boo the Astros when they come to town and stuff
Yeah,
like that. So
we'll see what kind of, I mean, I guess if you live in Texas and
yeah,
go watch
you
the
can
Rangers,
do whatever you want.
you can just go there. If you wear a mask, I'm sure they'll, kick you out.
Yeah. I would say either that or
Get
the,
there, but
free bear for wearing a mask, or no, maybe a free bear for not
no,
wearing a mask. I
no,
don't know
for
how that would
not
work.
wearing a mask. Right.
That's a whole nother issue. We won't get
That's
into that
yeah.
one.
That's
But all right. So, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to solve the Cubs' problems because the Cubs can't even solve their own problems. But let's switch to the White Sox. I think they're what, 5-6? Does that sound right? 4-5, something like that.
They were 500. Oh, see, I should probably know this.
I want to say they're 5-6, but I mean, I know they're playing right now, and it was 7-0. Was it 8-0, 7-0 last time I checked?
Yes, 8-0 right now.
Okay.
It's five and something. The problem is when you say the number five, Justin, all I can say five is, oh, look, Nick Williams is in the lineup again. Number five.
Number
Now, he's
5.
not in the lineup tonight, but Vaughn has
Now,
been.
what's your take on Vaughn? You think he should be playing more? Should he be playing? Obviously, I know the minors haven't started yet. Should he be playing like? I think they have their squad up in Schaumburg, right? Playing.
Yeah,
is it at the Boomers field?
they have the alternate site,
Okay.
right down the street from me. Actually,
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
About 5 minutes 5-10 minutes for me. Yeah, Vaughn hasn't been in the lineup a lot. You've seen a lot of Nick Williams, who I was just complaining about before, who was just brutal at the plate. I mean, everyone looked bad against Bieber the other day.
Yes.
Nick Williams looked really bad
Mm-hmm.
against him. But okay, getting away from that, Andrew Vaughn. I don't know. Maybe Tony sees something in him that I don't. It's got to be something, mentally. Still got the shell around him, maybe that he's got to crack a little bit. But I think the only way to do that is get him some big league at bats. He's
Yeah.
starting left field. I know he's out of position. It's a new position. That's a lot on the kid. He was till Lloyd went down, obviously, and that kind of changed some stuff. Put him out in left field there. So he has a double tonight, but you just want to see him, keep getting those at bats, keep getting those at bats. I know Rick Hahn really wants him to line. I mean, they didn't pull any service time with him or anything.
Yeah, they didn't. Yeah, that's
no
a
new
good
contract either, which is kind of shocking. Now the White Sox are pretty good. They don't really pull that service time game.
Nah, it's more of a Cubs thing.
Yeah.
Can you ask Nico Horner about that one?
Yeah, it's Nico Horner. Yeah, we should get to that too.
Yes,
another time.
So what about what's been okay? And I know you and I and our other brother-in-law Vinny, we've talked about this a ton when Tony La Russa got signed. What has been your take on Tony La Russa so far? Now that we're a handful of games in, have you been impressed? Not impressed?
I have not been impressed at all.
Okay.
I think the lineups are. Speaking of Sox offense is struggling too, let's face it. Your Mead Mercedes obviously is the big story. He's been fantastic.
Yes.
Great. He's been put. I mean, he's really had some solid at bats.
I didn't realize he was a career minor leaguer either, right?
Career minor leaguer, 28 years old, always hitting the minors. There was question about his work ethic, I think. I know when he was in the Orioles organization, I heard on the White Sox Talk podcast with Chuck Garfien that they pulled him from the game. I think it was like a single A game or something. They just grabbed his keys and left the stadium right after that. Wow. He was just so upset. White Sox got him in a Rule 5. But he's done nothing but hit his whole career. He's finally doing it at the big league level, obviously. But the at bats just look great. The approach is great. He's seeing pitch. He's looking at curveballs all the way through. He hasn't struck out on a fastball.
Yeah,
hitting the
that's
fastball.
Been impressive.
So, but getting back to Tony, for instance, yesterday versus Bieber, you're mean nowhere in the lineup. I mean, that's one of the best pitchers in baseball, and we need to win. Your mean's not there. No Vaughn in the lineup. Right. Jake Lamb and Nick Williams hitting fifth. They gave number 5 too, Justin. That's Ray Durham's number. Right?
It is Ray Durham. 5, that was, as a kid, even though I wasn't a Sox fan,
that was your guy.
That was my guy playing second base growing up. Yeah.
Right. Before the game, they show all these highlights of him with the Phillies, hitting home runs. Just like, he's not gonna do that tonight. So
no,
stop showing that. But the lineups from Tony have been so inconsistent. He's got Moncada batting like cleanup.
Yeah, I saw that the other day, and I'm like, granted, I'm not following the Sox as closely as you are, but I saw that, and I'm like, okay, I never in my wildest dreams would have imagined him being a cleanup hitter.
No, I think he's better served hitting. So he's hit second usually for us right before Abreu, protecting Abreu, seeing better pitches up there. I don't think Ford does him any favors.
No, no.
Especially since he was in a music video, and when players do stuff like that, it's like, ooh,
it's like Major League 2 when Willie Mays Hayes is in his movie
Black Thunder,
White Lightning or something like that.
Black Thunder, White Lightning or something like that.
Not good.
He not only did his own stunts, but he did his own acting. Well, Yohan did his own singing. It was pretty terrible. And the at bats are pretty terrible. No, he's had a couple hits tonight, I think.
You can't be perfect at everything. That would be my advice to him. So
I guess.
What
I really
go ahead.
I was just gonna say I just want to finish off saying I'd like to see him get out of that the cleanup spot back in the 2-hole with Anderson. He should be coming back tomorrow, leading us off because Eaton's leading off right now, and get a little more consistency to the lineup, maybe, because I believe it's almost like they've had a different lineup every day. I mean, even if it's just one minor change, it hasn't been consistent so far. And maybe Tony's trying to figure that out, but whatever he's doing, offense has been struggling too. So
now, I know, obviously, like you said, the offense is struggling. What's been? I'm curious because everything I've read about Kopech this year, and I've seen his stat lines, like he's having a great year in the bullpen, right?
It's been absolutely fantastic so far.
Do you see? Are they going to eventually stretch him out this season for a starting role, or would that be next year? You think?
Possibly. Cease just went on the IL. Dylan Cease. They called up Zach Birdie, which I don't get because he can't find the plate one bit. So I think those are long-term plans for Michael Kopech and like a guy like Garrett Crochet too. I know they
Sure.
like those guys to start. They throw serious heat. Kopech has been fantastic with the accuracy too. That's what's been really impressive with me.
Hmm.
The idea this year was to have him in kind of like those swingman roles,
Yeah.
kind of to relieve starting pitching if needed, and
Okay.
provide the late innings in the bullpen or the longer innings in the bullpen to get to Hendricks. And they've been doing that. They've been doing that. So really happy to see Kopech
Yeah,
back in
he's
action after a
been
couple of years.
he's been doing pretty
He was a
well.
big part. He was a big part of that Chris Sale trade.
He was.
So,
Gosh, that seems like
obviously,
forever ago.
right. Obviously, Moncada was a centerpiece of that,
Yeah.
but Kopech was a part of that. So
And neither one of them have cut up any jerseys since they've been Sox. So that's a good sign too, right?
they have not. We sent those too to Dave Dombrowski and the Red Sox.
Yes. That's right. That's right. Well, actually, I'm glad you brought up the Red Sox. So it looks like the Sox obviously have the Indians tomorrow, and then it looks like they go to Boston for the next series.
Mm-hmm.
Any thoughts, any feelings about how they'll play in Boston?
Hoping. Well, JD Martinez has been hot.
Mhm.
So, and really quick, JD Martinez has actually been a prediction of mine to end up on the White Sox.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
By trade deadline, if we're still looking for that bat, if Eloy's still out, if the league figures out Mercedes,
that would be a great move if they could pull that off.
He always balls out there. Oh yeah, just hoping that starting pitching keeps us in games and everything, and the bats take off a little bit.
Hopefully too, as it gets to May, I know Chicago weather, I feel like things warm up a little bit, offense kind of perks up a little bit, but
yeah.
All right. Well, I think that'll do it for our Cubs and Sox talk. We'll take a little run around the league now before we get to our whatever section of the podcast. Greg, if you have anything, feel free to say it. Here's a couple of things I picked up. From MLB.
Go ahead.
One thing I saw was Joe West won his defamation case against Paul Lo Duca.
Yes.
Apparently, you cannot talk trash about Joe West. So I think the settlement was for $500,000.
$500,000.
Which,
So the story was. Did you read about the story?
It was. I just heard that it was Paul Lo Duca, and I don't know. Is he doing like analyst work for the Mets or something like that? Is that what it is?
He would, but I think he said this on a podcast or something.
Okay.
So, about how it was like claimed that pitchers were bribing Joe West. I think he used Billy Wagner specifically.
Really?
You remember Billy Wagner?
Yeah.
We're always
Astros closer.
We're always
Mets,
pining
right?
for him to. Yeah, and we're always pining for him to be in the Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
He might get underrated guy.
I agree. Totally agree.
I think the story was that, and don't quote me on this, but Billy Wagner would let Joe West drive one of his vintage automobiles when he was in town.
Really?
And then Paul Duca claimed that when he caught Billy Wagner, like that's how he got some of the calls or something. Like, he's like, how did you get that strike or something? It's like, don't worry, I took care of it.
Really?
But then it was such an open and shut case, I heard, because they found out that Paul Lo Duca never caught Billy Wagner when Joe West was umping behind
That's
the
like
plate.
the easiest way. If you're going to make something up, at least have someone on tape watching you catch Billy Wagner, right? Like,
exactly.
Wow.
I don't know if he got mixed up or whatever, but I think one search to Baseball Reference and the case is closed. So.
Well, I just think it's funny. You have that case coming out this week. I think, was it last week or 2 weeks ago? You had the Angel Hernandez case come out where I feel like the federal court system literally told Angel Hernandez, no, you're just bad at your job. That's
really
what I mean?
bad at your job. Yes.
Yeah, he still has it. That's what I don't understand. But
I remember watching Angel Hernandez ump as a kid, man.
Yeah.
Like, they're watching the Cubs on WGN. Angel Hernandez right there.
It's just like, get the popcorn ready.
Been around forever.
He's gonna insert himself into the game one way or the other. So
he'll always be the part of baseball.
The other story I popped up that was from this week. that I was curious what you thought was the spin rate controversy with Trevor Bauer, and they're sending some of his balls that he used to pitch that they think he doctored them for the spin rate. What is your take on that? Especially being a former pitcher, I figured you'd have more to say about that.
My best pitch, when I was playing my high school years was my two-seam fastball.
Mhm.
And I remember, trying to get a little extra spin on it to try and locate it a little better.
Mhm.
That wasn't a thing that or anything spin rate. I'm not talking. I mean, now it's so advanced and everything.
Oh yeah, yeah.
They have all the technology to calculate that, and what pitches best values a pitcher. He was pretty much. I mean, you kind of sent me. Was it you who sent the art? You sent it to me, and where where he went wrong is everyone's doctoring. All pitchers are.
Oh yeah,
doctoring.
I feel like
they have the stinking rosin bag on the mound. I
Yeah.
mean, pine tar on the glove. The catcher's doctoring it for you too. He's got.
Was it Yadi Molina a couple seasons ago? He had
remember
it stuck to his chest protector.
Yeah. He had like Loctite on there or whatever. It just stuck right there. So, I mean, where Bauer went wrong, he was, mind you, I think he's loving every minute of this because this is content for his brand or whatever.
The thing that bugs me the most about him is when he was with Cincinnati and then Cleveland before that, if I'm not mistaken, right? He was an Indian for the longest time. Wasn't that where
he was in India? Yeah, okay. He actually started. He was unknown with the Diamondbacks. Went to the Indians. Then Cincinnati, obviously.
So I just remember when he was with the Indians and he started his YouTube channel and he's doing these huge videos about spin rate and all these players. There's no way they can be doing the spin rate without the doctoring of the ball. And then like the next season, his spin rate goes through the roof, and it's like, okay, well. Yes. So are you doing it too now, or were you not doing it before?
So my opinion, he knew, pitchers had these substances. There was a dude on the Angels, in the lab, mixing his Coca-Cola and pine tar together. And he's like, yeah, well, it's the morality of the game, they're cheating. And he sees they're not getting caught. He's like, well, I'm going to do it too.
If you can't beat him, join him,
right? Cy Young. Yeah.
Yeah. And he got a huge contract from the Dodgers. So
he absolutely did. And sure, MLB's looking at those baseballs. I don't really know what they can prove, Justin.
Yeah.
It's going to continue. Maybe I know everyone's kind of say you I'm sure you hear it on the radio, you hear it on podcasts, you follow the news saying they'll have a league approved substance or something like that. We'll see what happens with that, but everyone's got something.
Yeah.
Something
I feel like, See, I'm more okay with that than I am with like what the Astros did, where you're using the technology to film and to relay signs like that. That bugs me more. I'm not a big Trevor Bauer fan in general, so I kind of hope something happens just because I don't like him. But that's just me.
That's fair. Trevor Bauer, he's an interesting character.
He is.
There was a brief period where I kind of said, maybe he's a free agent. He'll come to the White Sox. We could use a guy, and then, he's just
he is your.
I really don't have a strong opinion on him either way.
He is like the perfect example of somebody who goes to the beat of their own drum, right? Yeah, like he's not going to fall in line. He's going to do what he wants, and as long as you're cool with that, he's going to get you wins, and you just roll with that, right? So
right. Exactly.
I don't know. Well, that's all I have for around the league. You got anything else?
Just a quick update, Justin. I believe Carlos Rodon has completed the perfect game.
Wow! I saw it was like the 8th inning last time I checked. If you would have told me, that's all right. If you would have told me when they re-signed him, was it a 1-year deal this year?
1 year, I think he got 1 year, $3 million. Carlos
probably would have been the last guy I'd pick to throw a perfect game.
He is the number 5 starter. I can happily say Carlos Rodon is throwing a perfect game.
That's awesome.
9 inning pitch, no walks, 7 strikeouts.
Hats off to him. That's incredible. That's incredible. Good for him, especially to come back. I mean, he's had so many injuries. I mean, I remember when they drafted him, he was like the end all be all, right?
He
Kind of
was,
coming into
yeah,
the rotation.
right. He was third over. I think he was third overall pick, and I'm trying to keep it contained right now because my kids are asleep. So
As soon as we get done,
um,
as soon as we get done recording, you can go jump around and
I'm gonna go jump around,
you
go
should
run
film it. You
around the
can put it
room.
on the YouTube channel for everybody.
There we go. Right, yeah.
So, well, that's awesome.
So
That's
this
awesome.
is fantastic. Yeah, I mean, his first start was excellent. He missed his start a couple days ago because
Hmm.
he had tummy issues, and comes out tonight and throws a perfecto. Just
Awesome. Well,
incredible,
hey, hopefully
absolutely
that's a sign
incredible.
for us, right? First night we record and we see a perfect game.
I think this is a good sign.
It's
I
a
think we're
sign.
doing good work here. I think we're doing
We're good.
good
We're
work
every
with
time he
Justin.
pitches, we're gonna have to record now,
We're
just
gonna
going
we're gonna
forward.
have to
That's gonna be the new
record.
thing.
That's gonna be the new thing. Exactly.
All right.
Exactly.
Well,
So
that's all I got for baseball talk. So I don't know if, unless you have anything else, the perfect game's awesome. I guess we'll switch to our whatever portion of the show now. And we got two topics. We got PS5 and the Snyder Cut. We'll start off with the PS5. If you can't tell already, Greg and I are huge gamers. If you want to call us that, I don't even know if that's a thing anymore. It work. All the kids ask if I'm a gamer, so that's what they say. But
they still use that term?
they
Gamer?
do.
Okay.
They do, but I don't know what people in their 30s say
Well,
our generation. But
I gotta try and stay cool with the cool kids,
yeah,
Justin. So
yeah, we'll keep calling that. But
right.
I know you got your PS5. I do not have one yet. I still got my PS4. So
Right.
I don't know. Like,
I was
go
gonna
ahead.
ask you. So how is the are you still searching for one? I know they're still
Yeah,
impossible to find. So are you still kind of gung ho on finding
I
one?
keep going back and forth. Now, if you ask me next week, I'll give you a different answer than I do this week. I feel like so. This again, talk about a nerd when it comes to video games. I have my little Google Doc on my Google Drive, like with games coming out that I'm keeping an eye on that I might want to buy. And I
Yeah.
think for the PS5, so I kind of wanted to get the Spider-Man, the Miles Morales game, but now I'm like,
Okay.
I don't know. I got the one
I
for
don't have that one yet.
PS4. The PS4 one was good. I like Spider-Man, even though I'm not a huge Marvel guy, and we'll get into that. But I'm like, do I really need that? I've heard the Miles Morales character is awesome, and it's more contained. So eventually maybe I'll pick that up. But the two or three that I'm really looking forward to are I really want to pick up that Demon Souls remaster or remake when
Yeah.
that's out already.
Yeah.
But I love those games. That's definitely that would be the first game I'd buy if I find a PS5. Ratchet and Clank comes out in June, I want to say June or July. I love those games, so that would be another one that I'd want to pick up. And then obviously the show, which I kind of haven't bought the show in a couple of years now. But you sent me that video. I played the it wasn't a demo. What was it?
It was
server
a
test?
technical test. Yeah.
I really enjoyed that. I loved that new pitching system. And then when I saw the video for the PS5 graphics, I'm like, I didn't expect much because it's the first year, but I thought they looked better. So that was something that made me curious about it. So
I know it's running at that better frame rate and everything.
yeah.
Really and I know I probably text you about this maybe three or four times
Nothing wrong with that.
But it's really the big next gen feature. One of the few, maybe like the real only concrete big thing is the stadium creator.
Yeah.
And I've noticed showed you some videos on that. How are you feeling about that? Like, would that be enough to make you, because
pick it up?
if I still had the PS4, you know me, I'm a big MLB The Show fan.
Yeah, every year, right?
That's why I switched to PlayStation years ago. I'm just like, I can't play.
See, now if we had Xbox Series X's, we could get it for free on Game Pass.
You get it for free on Game Pass. Yeah, that's a whole other thing.
Which I guess supposedly
you still have to subscribe. You still have to subscribe.
But I guess MLB supposedly came in and said, Xbox, you need to put this on Game Pass. And that's a done deal. So like, why couldn't they have done that for Sony? But that's neither here nor there. But yeah, like the Create a Stadium feature is cool. I feel like it's one of those features I would go in being like, yeah, I'm going to make my own expansion team. I'm going to make a stadium and I'm going to play it. And that's going to be awesome. But I feel like once I get it, I'm not going to do any of that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's weird.
That is very true. I watched the San Diego studios did a what is it called? So like a
developer diary or something.
Yeah, they do a video. I forget. They have a different name for it this year. They do it every Thursday. They kind of got into the stadium creator breakdown. It's a very complex creation tool.
Yeah.
But they put different difficulties on it. So I mean, you can kind of do a pre-made build from a pre-made stadium or just start from scratch.
Mhm.
And I was watching it, I'm like, that is so awesome, but it's so complex. I was thinking, dude, how much time am I actually going to spend on it?
Yeah,
But
the
I'm planning to.
time.
That's like one of the first things. I don't have time. I talk to you all the time. I never have
Don't have time.
played on a
Yeah.
game before,
It's
unfortunately.
one of those
But
things like when you're a kid, you get like I would get like one or two games, like one for my birthday, one for Christmas, and then maybe if I saved up like allowance money to buy one sometime else, and I would just play that
right,
nonstop, right?
right.
That's all you play.
That's all you would play, right?
Whereas an adult, it's like you have a little bit of disposable income now. It's like, all right, that's on sale. I'm going to buy that. That's on sale. I'm going to buy that. And then like it's the weekend and I'm too tired to actually play anything. You know what I mean? So
No, exactly.
I'm definitely,
Story of my life.
my goal is I'm hoping by the summer, pick one up.
Okay.
That's three games right there that I would like. The only other thing too, I don't like this, the whole $70 thing bugs me, but I granted, I know they haven't raised game prices since I think the 360 and the PS3.
That's correct. Yeah.
So I
That's
get
correct.
that. I get that whole thing. But at the same time, it's like with all the DLC and battle passes and
Any
every
kind
little
of
microtransaction.
virtual currency microtransaction.
Yeah,
That's
it's
part
like
of almost every game now,
you're
unfortunately.
making money hand over fist. Do you really need to spend that extra money? But if they're trying to recoup costs, I get it. It's a business. They're trying to make money. I'm not going to fault them for that. Yeah, so in terms of trying to find one, I could see myself trying to find one this summer. In terms of you, like what's the standout game you've been playing so far on the PS5? Based on the time you have had to play, what have you been playing on there that you've liked so far?
For me, it's been Assassin's Creed Valhalla,
Valhalla.
which
Okay.
is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And the other game I would say is Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War,
Cold
which I
War.
haven't played that much of, but I'm just really enjoying. And I bought these as PS4 games,
Yeah,
but I
the
used
frame
the
rate is
PS.
huge.
You're right. That's the big difference for me, just playing in that 60 frames per second or whatever it's running at. Plus with these the 3D audio
Mm-hmm.
that the PS5 come with for the headphones. I mean, it's just been really it's just been so much fun. It's so immersive. The sound is great. The visuals are great. Everything is smooth. The DualSense controller.
I'm
It's
excited to try
just
that out.
so that's
I'm
a it's
excited to
fan
try
it's
that out.
fantastic. I people when people first buy it, they're like, oh, how great can it be? And it's
Makes a
it's
difference.
pretty nice.
Well, I know
Adaptive triggers is pretty cool.
even me, like some of the PS4 games I picked up, it's like, oh, there's a free upgrade to PS5. Like I ordered, I picked it up the other week at GameStop. It was Dirt. What are they on? Dirt 5, I think.
Dirt 5, yeah,
The
I think
racing
so,
game.
yeah.
Just because I like those, and I know that one's more arcadey, which I'm more into that. So I bought that for like $20 because it dropped in sale. And I saw they had an upgrade to PS5, and I know, so I'm like, oh, well, down the road when I get that, making that jump to 60 frames per second, like that, you don't think that's going to be a big difference, and then you see it, and it's like, wow,
100%, yeah.
So I think that's going to be the big thing for this generation.
And I'm sure if we have any PC gamers listening eventually,
they're going to say
they're just laughing at us.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, the kids at school do that to me. They're like, oh, you play on PS4.
Right.
Mr. Mackley, do you want me to build you a rig? I can build you a rig, So yeah, no, I'm sure we're gonna get that. But all right, well, that's good. Any games in particular you're looking forward to coming out in the near future?
What do you think about Pokemon Snap, Justin?
We've talked about,
I'm new to the Nintendo Switch, and you've
had it for a year,
Nintendo
about a
Switch.
year and a half, 2 years, something like that.
Right, and every time I've asked you about it, you've done nothing but high praises.
I love
for the Switch. I love it too. I got it. I've had it for a couple months now. I think it's absolutely fantastic. The kids love it.
That would probably be the thing that would push me back from buying a PS5 right away, because now since I have that and I play that a lot. So like I remember when the first one came out, that was 99, 2000?
99 or 2000 for Nintendo 64.
So like I was in middle school. That was like the perfect time. Like the Pokemon cards were popular. Game Boy Pokemon. I had the Pokemon Blue. Like I was the perfect demographic for that. I didn't have an N64 growing up. I had a PlayStation, so I would go to my cousins and we would play. He had Pokemon Snap. Yeah. Like I loved it. I think it's pretty cool. My only concern is it's a full price game. How much is going to be there? Like, is this something where like in 4 or 5 hours you've knocked it out and you're done? Or is it going to be like you can go back, replay it, do new stuff? Like if that's the case, like I'm totally on board, because I'll be honest, like Pokemon stuff's cool. Like I still think that's pretty neat.
Yeah, absolutely. I gotta admit, I've only watched a few trailers on it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how in depth the gameplay
The gameplay is,
gets.
yeah.
So that's interesting. But I mean, for me, it's just been a big nostalgia thing.
Yeah.
And I'm just telling, it's like, oh yeah, no, I want to buy it for my kids, but let's face it, I'm gonna play it. So.
Oh, that's just one of the benefits of it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, like I played through, was it last year, 2 years ago, the new Pokemon? I think it was Sword and Shield. Does that ring a bell? I think that's the one that came out.
Yeah, I've heard of that. I haven't played.
I played through that. That was cool. Like it wasn't as good as the ones I remember as a kid. That could be a nostalgia thing inside. Like I traded it in after I beat it, and I was like, whatever. So yeah, I'll be curious. I'll keep an eye out. I'm hoping, Nintendo's been really good about putting some demos out for their bigger games, like Pikmin 3 had a demo and stuff like that. So
okay, yeah.
So I think if they do a demo for that, I would try it out. We'll see how it goes. Can't hurt. So I'm trying to think games that I'm looking forward to. There's not, with COVID and everything, I think a lot of the developers have had to delay stuff and push stuff back.
Are you keeping up with Cyberpunk at all? I know they had another patch come out. Remember we were big on that a little bit. Remember you sent me the first video.
I was like going crazy about it.
It was like 27. It was like half-hour video gameplay. I'm just like, oh man, gotta get that.
I like that style of game. Like, granted, it's a different developer, but like the Oblivion and Fallout, like I love those games. Skyrim. So like, but this is in like a sci-fi world. I was like, oh, I'm all in on this.
Sci-fi world, yeah. It's just by the
was that
developers that did The Witcher 3.
Yes, I can't think
of which is another CD Projekt
Red. Yep, that's it.
Which is another game I have, The Witcher 3, that's still in plastic over there. Yeah, it's
I was cautiously optimistic, and then they kind of
the launch was a disaster.
Oh, it was awful. Absolutely awful.
I've heard even with the new patch that's out. I didn't read a full article on it yet, but I heard that it's really not or maybe not this patch, but the previous patch that was a couple weeks ago that really didn't do anything for the last gen PS4, Xbox One or anything. So
what I've read,
apparently only runs good on PC. I don't know.
From what I've read and heard from like some of the podcasts that like Giant Bomb I listen to and MidMax, I listen to them, and they kind of said, if you're gonna play it on PC, it's decent. If you're going to play it on console, and if you're going to play it on PS4 or
forget about
Xbox
it, right?
One,
don't
even bother.
Don't even bother.
Yeah,
right.
So I don't know. And I heard there was a bunch of glitches. Like they said, like when you break the law, like in a GTA style thing, like the cops would spawn right behind you. So there was no like actual like organic, like they pull up in a cop car. It was just like you turn around and they would just like drop from the sky. And it's like that's really crappy. Like, you know what I mean? So I don't know. We'll see what happens with it.
You know what I'm thinking is maybe just see what kind of patches are released. Maybe I don't know the size of these patches. The game might be 500 gigabyte by the end or whatever, but maybe a Black Friday release.
Yeah, Black Friday. $20, wait until it hits maybe, PS Plus. I don't know, something like that.
PS Plus. Yeah. Right.
So we'll
Seriously,
see.
Maybe that's a better option. So
we'll see. Yeah, we'll come back to that. That can be one of our weekly check-ins. What is wrong with Cyberpunk this week?
I like it.
All right, so we'll go to our last topic for the night. We got the Snyder Cut. I will say I am a huge DC fanboy. I'm sure Greg is well aware of this. I wouldn't even say if I'm a fanboy. I'm more of a DC apologist. I apologize for all the things
you can still be a fanboy.
So like I grew up, I loved Batman. My parents still tell me my first word was Batman. I love the Flash, Green Lantern. I thought the new Harley Quinn movie was awesome. I loved that. I thought Ewan McGregor was great as Black Mask. Suicide Squad was okay. What else? Justice League, I wouldn't say it was great, but it was better than I thought. So I just kind of accepted it. And I'm like, they did it. This isn't that great, but it's a DC movie.
The only reason you thought that, Justin, is because how disgusted I was at Justice League. So I think I told you after I was done.
You set the bar so low for
me.
Right.
Oh, Justice is the worst movie I've ever seen.
So then when I came in, I was like,
no, it wasn't that bad.
I'm like, it can't be that bad.
I was very disappointed. I was very disappointed with it.
So I don't know about you, but like I watched the Snyder Cut. at first I kept putting it off because I'm like, I don't want to sit here for 4 hours. Like, I don't have the patience or the attention span anymore to do that. So I know, like, I watched, I think the first 2 chapters one day, the next couple chapters the next day. And breaking it up like that, like the first half, and I think I texted you right away. I'm like, the first half, I didn't really feel it was all that different. Granted, it's been a while since I've seen Justice League, so I was like, this is okay. But then the second half, and spoiler warnings for anybody who hasn't watched this, but like the amount of stuff that Snyder came in and changed back, like in Justice League, there's a whole subplot where there's this family that lives outside that nuclear power plant that's being attacked by all of Steppenwolf's flying monsters. That like they're trying to escape and they're scared and like, what are we going to do? We have no food. They totally got rid of all that, which was great because that was the stupidest subplot.
So that was in the theatrical.
The theatrical cut, yeah.
Which I actually never saw that one.
Okay.
So when I told you I was starting the Snyder Cut and I still haven't finished it yet.
Yeah.
Slowly getting there. So I really had nothing to base it off of. So I'm just kind of going in fresh with that.
What would you say so far? I'm curious. And again, because you have nothing to compare it to, so I can see how you might think it's a little less exciting.
Okay, I started with chapter. I'm a little bit into part 3.
Okay. I would say it's still kind of hit or miss at that point.
Sure. Miss for sure.
For sure.
No, okay. Maybe I'll get. Maybe this is another thing we'll come back to. My slow progression through the Snyder Cut. This
weekly check in on the Snyder Cut.
Weekly check in as I slowly, because if I coming home from work, if I have a few moments before I get the kids, I'll kind of watch 15-20 minutes, just to keep going.
Yeah.
With it or whatever. So maybe as it goes on, I'll share
your thoughts
more in depth. But what is with the Icelandic women singing as Aquaman goes back into the wall? What?
I don't know.
Injustice?
I have.
That's some. And
that
then
might have been. It's been so long. Yeah, there's a few things I'm still like,
I know it's just kind of, right. I know maybe it's more of like an artistic scene or whatever.
Zack Snyder is all about his artistic camera angles and color palette and all that stuff.
Apparently, but it's not that good.
No.
And it's very awkward and it's very creepy. And
it is.
It kind of really takes me out of things. Not that I was ever really into it because he's talking to Ben Affleck. There's like, dressed as a bat. Really?
Yeah.
Oh, you do it as a bat. 20 years. I'm like,
I'm rich. I'm a superhero.
Right.
Yeah.
The script is terrible. Please.
Yeah.
I was a Ben Affleck defender for a long time. Like that's one of the things I liked about Justice League. Really quick. I like what they did with this character, which a lot of people didn't. He's been Batman for 20 years and he's just had it.
Yeah. It's
killed because guys like Harvey Dent, the Penguin, he's dealt with all of them already. He doesn't care anymore.
Yeah.
People are getting shot. He's firing guns at people. I was like,
that's a whole other thing. Yeah.
I know. Batman, I'm a big Batman guy too. I know, Batman doesn't kill people and that's not his thing. Christian Bale said it to Heath Ledger. We all know it.
Yeah.
I saw that. I'm just like, yeah, been doing it 20 years.
He's probably tired. Like, I already, I beat you up. I threw you in jail.
Right.
You got out.
Right.
Yeah. The system doesn't work. Yeah.
There's a Kryptonian dude flying around. I've got to change it up here.
I got more stuff to worry about.
Right. I got more stuff to worry about. But then then similar to that scene with Aquaman. I know it's a dumb little scene or whatever, but this whole slow motion thing of him.
Just wait.
Saving the girl in the car. The effects are cool, but then there's a song and it was like 10 minutes.
Yeah. Like even the opening where he's being killed by what's that guy? Is it Darkseid? No, not Darkseid. Darkseid's the villain in this one. But what's the name of the monster that attacks him in Batman vs Superman? I'm blanking. I can't think of
Doomsday?
His name. Doomsday, thank you.
Yeah.
And he screams and that's what activates the mother boxes. Like I don't think that was in the Justice League theatrical cut. It's like, again, I'd have to go back and look, but the one thing I will say, and I'll be curious next week if we talk about this again, is they do Cyborg so much better in this movie because they didn't do crap with him in the theatrical cut. He is just like a side character. Where in this one they give him a whole backstory, and he's got a huge arc throughout the entire ending of the movie, which is pretty cool to see. So I'll be curious what you think of that.
Okay, I'm glad you said that because with Cyborg, I'm like, okay, from what I'm seeing in the Snyder Cut, I'm like, okay, this is I can get into this a little bit. I don't mind this character. I kind of like his backstory a little bit. So that I didn't mind so much. Actually, I'm like, okay, that intrigued me a little bit. I'm really unfamiliar with Cyborg.
I don't know.
I know all the other characters, obviously. But that's the thing I wanted to bring up. Those weird slow motion musical.
You are in for a treat then when it comes to slow motion and musical treatments. When you get near the end, just wait. You might want to keep a tally of how many slow motion cuts you get. That would be, that might be why it's 4 hours.
So it's not over. It's not over yet.
No,
it's not.
Okay. It might be done a little bit better, but I don't know. The other thing, and I won't spoil it since you haven't seen it, but the ending, it's not even the ending. It's the epilogue. It's a special chapter at the end. I'll be very curious to get your take on that.
Okay.
It's
like
really like
epilogue.
Like that. Really, I was like, that kind of made me say, oh my gosh, I kind of wish they gave Snyder like his full arc to continue doing this. Obviously, I think the studio said no, there's no way in heck that's going to happen. But I'll be very curious to see what you think about that because that was pretty cool, and I know that was one of the things they did some reshoots for too. So we'll have to see what you think about that. But well, good. Okay. Well, I guess.
Well, we'll definitely revisit that. Then.
Yes,
and,
that can be the.
Okay, I'm intrigued by that now. We'll kind of see. Maybe I'll watch it after the White Sox highlights.
There you go. Or you're gonna text me and be like, "I hate you. That was the dumbest thing ever."
I was like, right, Justin, I'm waiting for it. What are you talking about?
Is there a second epilogue? Because the first one sucked. Yeah. So
exactly.
All right. Well, I guess, to anybody who ends up watching this, we are going to put this on YouTube. We're also in the works of getting an audio version on Anchor. And then, like I said, I'll be pushing that out. So hopefully you're interested. Check it out. I'm going to take a cue from my students and say, like, share, and subscribe. Phrase I'd never thought I'd say. But hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll be doing this. I think our goal is probably once a week. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll try. We'll see
how it goes.
We'll try once a week.
Greg's got kids to worry about. I'm finishing grad school, so if people actually do like this and there's a demand, we'll try and focus on a routine. We'll see how it goes. But hope you guys enjoyed that. Greg, you got any final parting words of wisdom for anybody?
Maybe if we get some listeners or some viewers, we maybe would. I think you brought up maybe we'll integrate a little bit of top 5 rankings in our whatever section.
I'm all about making lists. I don't know what that says about me, but
we actually do have an email address. It is baseballandwhatever@gmail.com.
There you go.
So if we do get listeners or
email us, we'll read them.
Even if they're
negative
and you hate us negative, we're all for that. Send it in. We'll take anything other than welcome to Google.
Yes. So yeah, we got that. We got a Twitter. We made a Twitter account. I think it's @baseball, one word, and then whatever is WHATEVR because
EVR.
Because there wasn't enough. So we'll see if we can come up with something better. We can always change it on the fly. But that's it for the first episode. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and take it easy, stay safe in this crazy world, and we will see you all next week.
See you next time.
All right,
thanks.
Peace. See you guys.
See ya.